I can't fit.
Here's what I did this week on the farm. I set up these little mini raised beds in the backyard to do some broadcast seeding in, and I also seeded some radishes in one of the beds. They were three beds that I thought to myself, like, oh, this is personal garden, so push it off until maybe next year and focus all on farm. And then I realized it's all farm, baby. I'm putting things in there just so I have something for sure ready by May 9th, because that's my first farmers market day, and I want to have at least a few little baggies of things to sell. I did two different types of arugula, just regular arugula, and then rocket. And then I did three different types of baby lettuce seeds. I did a red lettuce, a deer tongue lettuce, and then a butter crunch, and then Easter egg radish in the last bed. They're coming along pretty good. There were already pipes in the ground around the bed, and then there was PVC pipe hoops that had been set up in the field that I'd removed that I was able to repurpose. Those are coming along pretty nicely. I got a nifty soil blocker from Johnny's. There's a DIY trick that you can do with an ice cube tray, but I wanted a soil blocker, so I got myself one. And then I got just some trays from Wilco to use. I planted enough for 1.5 rows of peppers and 2.5 rows of tomatoes. And then I also planted a few extra sun golds and San Marzano tomatoes so I can have some seedlings to sell, along with some basil at the May 9th farmers market. I'm hoping they're going to be big enough by then. We'll see. And then for making all those seedlings, I'm going to be buying some soil mix from my neighbor Jim, which we talked about when I went to go visit this week. I kind of just popped over to pick up a broad fork, and then he showed me around his garden and all the stuff that's kind of growing. I mean, it was really fun. It's nice having someone to talk to that's in the same field, so close by. I've also been working on just general seedling maintenance, so watering, moving things around. I turn the space heater on every night. It's been warming up a bit, but there's still next week there's some 37 nights. There are some bigger, the cosmos especially. I think they could move outside right now. I could plant them probably. I should have moved those into the bigger greenhouse. I did notice when my mom was here last week, we repaired a hole that was in the side of it, and I thought, oh great, done. The holes are fixed. But then I was looking up, and there's a jagged cut across the entire top. So I am too short to reach up there even on the ladder, so I've got to fix that. So I think that's probably why it's not retaining that much heat at night. That is part of why I didn't start moving things yet, but I just kind of got it. It's time. I'll be doing that first thing next week. I mean, the main thing this week was really digging my beds. I think I finally figured out my system. It took a bit, so I don't really have a video to show you of it, but next week I will, and I'll kind of walk you through it more. I was using my garden fork to kind of help me break up any gnarly root balls and mats of grass that kind of hadn't broken up, because I just can't imagine dragging my earthway seeder through them. I left a lot of roots because I know when they stay in the soil they break down, and that's good for the soil health. But some of them were just too annoying and they had to be removed. And then I was able to put them in sandbags. So a 2-for-1, I was able to fill sandbags and dig beds all in one go. And then once I got the broad fork from Jim, it really made the process so much faster. My garden fork was not happy with how much pressure was being applied to it. I think the broad fork is probably going to save that one's life. I would still use the fork to kind of some of the root balls are crazy, which is why I'm not leaving them when they're insane. If my shovel can't break through them, I can't imagine roots can. That's when I would get the fork involved to kind of go through and do a secondary breakup of that area. That ends up taking about 6 hours is how I've timed it to be so far. But that's just digging the bed. I think I was going a little too deep at first, so maybe I'll be able to shave some time off of it for the future beds. I placed an order for drip tape at the local irrigation supply store. It was supposed to come at the beginning of this week, but it got back ordered for the end of the week, and I still haven't heard back yet. So I'm going to wait until Monday and then just kind of pop in and see if it got delivered and if there's an alternative if it hasn't. So the bed digging has been exclusively bed digging, and the process is going to change next week once I am including laying out the drip, because ideally you lay out the drip on the dirt, but you don't want it too deep. So I've got to figure the system out once I'm including that. But then, so next week I'll be able to start doing my direct seeding and my planting, which is like so exciting. One of the things I need to be better about is stretching for sure, because the shoveling and the forking and the weeding and everything. Yeah, so I've got to be stretching. Next week I'll be amending and seeding and planting, and that's incredibly exciting, and I cannot wait to show you how that all goes. So catch me next week for week 15. And I also started making dandelion wine this week. I harvested all the dandelions and started the fermentation process for this first batch, and then I'm gonna make a second batch using a different recipe. That's not super farm related, but it's not, so